Every quantum leap I'm finding myself trapped inside of people. Differences underneath the fundamental side of ego. Truly not that equal, that's why they say don't meet your heroes. We are part of this evil, so pardon all my amigos. Feeling slightly psychologically senile, it's like a part of me is out here signaling a watery grave. I hit the lottery at the bottom of the bottle, the freedom handwritten messages thanking us for the souls we saved. 7 seals hiding underneath the 7 seas. Find me riding that tsunami to the mouth of the beast. Same old saying, surf's up, they took a lot of abuse. A lot of projects gonna bomb, they are short on the fuses. And I sympathize, singled out monsters, seeming civilized. Synchronizing up with the mausoleum in the sky. Need another reason, kicking dust up to seal the fires. Out here with the sign that reads, free the virus.
People calm down. Standing out here yelling, rabble, rabble, rabble isn't going to help anything.
But we don't know what else to do there.
They're killing all this time, drowning in suds, laid at the tavern. The rest of humanity trying to climb out the cavern. Imagine the smell, these clunky devs always relapse. Getting rugged by another pleb, sitting in rehab. Motherfuckers out here simping, trying to get a launch date. Flexing in the mirror like how big is your apostate. Propping up these ominous horror scenes, they theorize. Show of hands, how many y'all can read it right? Heads down, deciphering the codes. They need the cash flow, it's all like trust me bro. When light another flash loan, bathed in the unsolved mysteries, they realize nothing they were working on was real life. Identify the need to feed hostility inside of these genetics. Human beings being redesigned, but who takes the credit? Meanwhile, the rest of us are drowning in debt, and they wonder why we won't ever forget when the shit gets shit.
Motherfuckers.
And in these 10 commandments.
Welcome everybody. Wow. That's one of Finn's songs right there. It's called When the Shit Gets Shit, and I hope you enjoyed that shit. But welcome to the live stream. Joe here for Dead Cat Crypto. This is the Web3 channel for end users like you, the customers, the early adopters, the retail traders, the ones who actually should be driving the whole space, right? It's not devs, it's the actual end users. So I'm happy that you're here. And if you're joining on Twitter, come into the chat. I got a fun guest today. It's going to be myself with Don Cryptonium. But man, before we even get to him, he'll be here probably in a couple of minutes. Just want to do my little rundown here. First of all, we're going to talk about all the different little projects that he's involved in. Also his takes on crypto influencers, which is interesting if you've watched his recent video that's pinned to his Twitter. But as far as this channel goes, you've definitely noticed a pivot in the last couple of months, last couple of weeks. I've been looking at lots of different chains, whether that be Tron, Cardano, Base, and Solana. A lot's happened since the last stream. I've been sick, man. I've been really sick. Good morning, by the way. Thanks for popping into the chat. Rama knows what's up. Rama says he's up late for the greatest Web3 focused podcast. Listen, it's not going to be quite like the Don and Max show, but it'll be as good in certain regards. And you will learn something today. You will definitely learn something today. All right. So he's still not here yet. Let me run down the fun stuff, which is like, look at the markets, right? Look at what's going on. So since last time, we've had, we've had debates, we've had volatility in the markets, we've had Coinbase rolling out their own wrapped Bitcoin, which I think is monumental news for the crypto industry. You're seeing it move towards institutional adoption, and a lot of OG Bitcoiners, a lot of cypherpunk-minded people, they are not going to like this. Let's make no mistake about it. But what they will like is if we get rate cuts sometime this month or next month, it should be soon, right? Where FOMC meeting, right? Got some Solana news, NFT Nashville. Let's talk about that. And by the way, Sunday morning, this will be the new slot. A lot of people might find this inconvenient. It's not inconvenient for me. I'm back to work because I'm a teacher and the summer is over. And last time I did Sunday mornings, I had a lot of people from the EU and Asia popping in. So I think Sunday mornings, you could think of it as like crypto church, right? Crypto church if there is such a thing. Sunday mornings, my channel right here in the Dead Cat Studios. Everybody else is off for the weekend, but I'm here. I'm always working. I've been waking up at like 4:30 in the morning the last week because first of all I've been sick, and also because I can't sleep when work starts. It's very stressful to start working. Mr. Fox says Sunday is good. I'm glad you agree with me. So let me check on the Don, see how much time I've got to schmooze you. But did I send him the link even? That's the problem. I didn't send him the link. Ha. But let's get him in here. Copy the invite link. I thought I sent him the link. But let's go through crypto prices really quick. People were begging for sideways activity in the market, right? People were begging for this. And let's get it up here. People were begging for, like I said, for volatility, and man, you got it. So like, what's the problem, right? What's the problem? Quick thing about Solana, by the way. I still think Solana is well positioned to be really like a long-term winner, not only in DeFi, but also enterprise adoption, institutional adoption. One of my first live streams, we talked about the token extensions. If you're not familiar with the token extensions, especially if you have any interest at all in Solana and where it's headed, go look at the token extensions. It basically creates a variety of token standards that can be regulatory compliant and can also give applications who are launching their own tokens, whether that be real world assets, stablecoins, or other, a pathway to becoming compliant in their respective jurisdictions. This is a huge development for Solana, although we don't see many products yet. This is still kind of new, right? This is like it's 2024 development. What I find interesting here, and this was sent to me by somebody else, a publicly traded holding company is all in on Solana. So this Cypherpunk Holdings company, they completely rebranded around Solana. So you're starting to see what I see as like cream rising to the top, whether that be Solana, Arbitrum, Base, Tron, starting with stablecoin adoption and then moving towards actual products. Now you have these investment-minded companies steering their attention to I would call the heavy hitters. Yes, you still have VC activity moving in on brand new, unproven stuff that will turn out to be garbage. But that's only because there's a lot of money to be made when new tokens are launched. And as long as retail keeps buying these garbage, brand new L1 tokens that are built on redundant networks, VCs will always be interested in brand new, redundant L1 nonsense. What we see here is a company that's like Solana's established. Yes, the network shuts down from time to time, but that's because of demand and actual use. Let's steer our company towards, where the customers are actually transacting, and that is Solana. Don's here, by the way. I see him. I'm going to just go through prices, but here we go. I mean, Bitcoin's $60K. What more could you want? I see crypto Twitter. Everyone's committing suicide because their bags are underwater. But if you just stuck to the obvious, right? Bitcoin is obvious. If you are great at picking shitcoins, you're great at picking shitcoins. Everyone else, I've been saying for like a year and a half now, why would you sleep on Bitcoin? Why would you expect money to flow from Bitcoin to the DeFi platforms when Bitcoin has the beginnings of DeFi between ordinals, BRC20s, runes, sidechains, and Bitcoin L2s? Why would you expect Bitcoiners to take their Bitcoin, sell it, and then go transact on some garbage network? I don't know why you would think that. I've been saying more than 50% of your portfolio, if you're a casual crypto investor, holder, trader, should probably be in Bitcoin related assets. And then for me, ETH is number two. I don't care about the FUD surrounding ETH. ETH is a mainstay. ETH will be in your grandmother's portfolio at some point due to the ETF adoption. And yeah, a lot of the ETFs were just people selling grayscale, moving into lower fee products. But if you're ignoring Bitcoin and ETH, you better be an expert at shitcoin trading, because a lot of the hyped up networks, that eventually goes away because there are no products on the actual chain. Anyway, that's it. We'll talk about NFT Nashville. We'll talk about Cosmos a little bit with Don, who's probably like the #1 Cosmos content creator of all time, and we'll bring him in. And if you got questions in the chat, I know that I got emailed about 400 questions for Don, so we'll start him off nice and easy. Don, how are you, sir?
Oh, let me connect my mic.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll help. We'll get you. While you're doing that, I'll give you a number.
Sorry, I'm not very prepared, to be honest.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
But now is good mic?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Hello, Joe. This is Don.
Your volume's a little low, but I think that's on my end.
Hey, Joe.
No.
This is it's Don Cryptonium here.
I need you to like the video. Smash the like. All right. I got you there. So I got your name. I got you as crypto builder and content creator. But I think in the recent months, you've scaled back the content quite a bit. Your channels are still growing, by the way. Are you building or are you content creating primarily right now?
Joe, so first of all, I had a couple drinks.
Good. I got one right here. It's water.
So sorry, I didn't do live stream for a very long time, and I just I'm not get used to this.
That's okay, man. You get a little sauced up. You jump on someone else's live stream, and it eases you back into the game.
It's okay. I'm gonna get in that, but the fact that I was away for a few months, it doesn't mean I'm not the greatest cryptographic advisor that's out there. It doesn't mean that I'm not the source of wisdom for the people, and I'm grateful to be invited here because I think your audience might crave the wisdom from Don Cryptonium, some of that Cryptonium knowledge. So you were asking if I'm building.
Yes.
My life is building. You understand?
That's what
I was born to build. I wasn't born to exist. I wasn't born to just follow paths. The Don Cryptonium since birth was the definition of building, right? And you've seen it through the many cryptographic projects, right? You've seen it via selling the JPEGs to the community and getting the tokens that I could exchange for American dollars, right? And other stuff. It's just exactly born to build. And I'm building other stuff, I'm never leaving, which is I think it's very interesting for many people because let me position
Don, your camera, the audience is complaining about your camera. It's got like a box around your head, like a sniper is trying to take you out.
Oh yeah. Why are you telling me that now?
I thought that it was going to go away by itself. That's how much I know.
I forgot, how was it? About to,
and you're a little close to the camera.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, okay?
I know that's your style when you're solo.
I'm just about to figure this out. Dude, check it. Fuck. I forgot what was you see, it was so long since I
got one of these. This is how I do it.
No, it was so long since I used that, I forgot.
I've got a cheap camera, but it came with a remote, so I was sold. I was like, oh, $90.
I'm gonna figure it out. Let me switch the camera. I know I'm ruining your great podcast, but
yeah, I mean,
You should not worry because we both know no one watches those.
I was gonna say
and,
all 7 people will have to deal with it.
I'm gonna figure this out, man.
Actually, whenever I do Sundays, way more people watch. That and I should have stuck with
I
Sundays.
remember.
I should have stuck with Sundays, but I tried to do like weekdays, weeknights. That's not my thing. I think Sunday mornings, you come to Crypto Church every Sunday
actually
morning.
Don't know why you keep doing those. to be
Doing what?
honest. The live streams.
You know what? I feel like I had to like expand my repertoire and just get good at it. This
Is
is
there
my
a still box?
yes.
Fucking hell, man. So fucking retarded, stupid.
Oh, we got
No,
Jacob.
I know what's going on.
We got Jacob of Notional in the chat. We've got Rarmo. We've got Weston Peace, who I've heard referred to as West IN.
Yeah. So sorry for being so unprepared, but yeah.
This is okay. This is part of live. This is like, yeah. This is just this is part of it. Remember we had
How are you,
Dodon.
Joe? How are you?
What's
Joe?
that?
How are you?
I've had a volatile 2024, but overall, I think my lifetime luck has been like a positive, net positive. But
Yeah.
this was a rough year. I put a lot of gray hairs have appeared in rapid fashion in 2024. But
Yeah, I don't have the gray hair, but
I think you're
I
doing
wish
all
my
right.
hairline would be slightly better, to be honest.
I think it's fine. I think your hairline now is probably what mine looked like when I was like 18. So I think you're doing all right.
No, dude, it's just look at that.
It's nothing. It's nothing. And most people don't know this, but this is a genetic trait that you can't stop. You could slow it with nutrition.
You can actually stop it with the is it the blockers,
yeah, but then you're creating like a chemical bomb inside your body just to save your hair. Listen, I'm American, right? So like my role models growing up were like basically Michael Jordan. He was the first one, I think, to make it into a fashion statement. And you see a lot of people who are choose to be bald because of that. That's not going to be me.
Dude, I think I'm gonna shave it.
I mean, Michael Jordan did it first, and then you saw
and I
it
think
become
it's
a trend.
gonna suit Cryptonium brand.
It might.
Are you impressed with Cryptonium brand, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's good.
I think it's one of the strongest brands in the Web3 right now.
I think when I think of Cryptonium, I think of perseverance through multiple cycles, and I think of truth. And I watched your recent video about truth, and I definitely want to talk about that. But can I ask you questions from the audience? There's one question that came up multiple times, and I wanted to DM it to you, but I'll ask right here for the chat. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's
a yes or no question.
Uncensored, complete truth.
Okay.
Transparency.
Are you still compounding your nom?
Oh, thank you for reminding. What's the website?
No,
what's the website? What was the website of nomic.io?
Who cares? I should have known from the beginning. Golden Ratio was shilling it. I should have known it was garbage. But no, I did compound my nom at least like twice a week.
I like Golden Ratio, okay? Dude,
I like him too, but he's on the wrong side of Dig, Juno, Nom. But he has me blocked. I haven't seen his tweets in over a year.
I'm a friend with him now.
Oh, nice.
It's with many people,
Small independent validators we need to support more, I think, and I think he fits that. Dude. I put him up in there with like Pikachu, Lavender 5, like they're the guys they do their best.
To be honest, Pikachu is very disappointing.
I mean, I can't hate people for their opinions, but
did you realize that how do 175 nomic right now? I'm just claiming and compounding that shit.
175, that's cool. I don't think I even have that many across all my
Polkachu. I'm glad you brought up this name because Polkachu is very disappointing. Remember Polkachu early on in Cosmos is the validator for those who don't know. It was interesting validator, right? It was like the guy who was almost funny.
I think he's funny. Yeah.
and I don't. I think it ended like probably 11 months ago, right? Um, and I don't see any funny post out of him. It's like I don't know. He's the type of guy who'd say, "Why there is only one validator on Unicorn?" Right? This is the type of person, and it's like it's sad to see this downfall. But the time comes for everyone, I think, except on Cryptonium, to be honest.
Well, let's go through your projects because you have an extensive resume, and I would call you a dev. I would call you a dev. So we've got. Let's look at the resume here. We live in a world where people are very impressed with titles and
Yeah.
pieces of paper on the wall. The Don Cryptonium brand, number one. The Don Cryptonium validator. I would call it a conglomerate, right? You've got Cryptonium Maker, which it was like probably the last successful blowout mint on Stargaze besides I wouldn't even call the sloths a blowout mint because it was a small collection, cheap, and the secondary trading is what made the sloths a good collection, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Fembro, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
You've got a slew of shitcoins, but then the unicorn.meme. I want to talk about unicorn.meme. I want to talk about because that's the UWU token that I didn't get, but
I'm not the founder of that.
But you're involved somehow, whether it's just being a whale holder
Community
or
member.
that's fine.
It's just yeah.
Every project that's successful, the community members who are vocal and make the project visible are the project. It's not the validators, it's not the devs. It sure as shit ain't the person who wrote the white paper, right? So I like unicorn.meme, but I did not get an airdrop because I was using a ledger. But then I complained to you, basically your customer service, whenever I have a problem with shitcoins, and you did send me my airdrop, which I looked at the other day, and I don't know how to sell it, but I don't think I can because it's.
It wasn't me.
It's
I'm just the.
It's $1 million. It's $1 million in unicorn tokens. That's a lot.
I'm just like a existing person, like so. I get sometimes message from the unicorn, and they're like, "Do you have address of this person?" And I'm then like, so I'm going to this person, and I'm asking, "Give me your address," and then I'm just sending my address away to the unicorn, but that's not me. So
Right.
I'm not really giving. So it's not the tokens. If you got tokens, that's not from me.
But I got them after I complained to you. There's a cause and effect there that I could appreciate.
Might be, but I was asked, and I think they were appreciating Joe, which is just quite surprising because you would say you are quite insignificant, right, in the space, but they were asking, give me address of the Joe. They do appreciate the hard work and the honesty that you try to put out there. And I think they wanted your address as the appreciation for trying to bring the good message. And Unicorn is relatively successful, so that's easy to say that I was not involved because, as you know, each project that I have founded as the direct funded wasn't as successful as Unicorn. We might speak of Cryptonium Maker, which I think on the mint day it made good amount of money. It was actually
great.
Six digits, man. And unfortunately, the sell-off of the Stars token started. So I made about half of the initial mint, which was highly disappointing, to be honest.
Shit.
I cannot complain, right? Because it's still selling JPEGs. I just made essentially a salary of the American teacher, yearly salary.
I would say
American teacher, selling JPEGs, which is good. Unfortunately, I didn't really make money with the Fembro. I lost the money.
I lost
but
too.
I love this project dearly. I think it speaks to all of us, especially to the masculine side. And it speaks to us when we were like teenagers. And sometimes as we're teenagers, sometimes we had this confusion about what if I would let some femininity swim in my blood, and I think that's the anthem to this ideology.
All right. Let's talk about listen, people only care about tokens, right?
Yeah.
The token. It was airdropped on 3 different chains. You can buy and trade emoji tokens for fun, right?
Oh,
So you could basically arbitrage, but you can't ever cash out. But it is a if you could accumulate more tokens by flipping these emojis, it's a testament to your skill as a shitcoiner. Is that the idea right now on the Cosmos side of Unicorn?
Well, I don't know because I'm not involved in the unicorn, right? So, but I can tell you what I did.
Sure.
I got good amount of the token airdropped, which was like maybe 10 million UU. I
Okay.
had Milady and Remedio, and those collections got the most of this. I also bought I think around 17 million of unicorn for like $12,000 OTC before, which was high risk, and it's like it wasn't a great deal looking back, or maybe it was. And I went quite all in the emojis. Firstly, being quite reserved, and now I have like over 300 U in emojis. And considering the Solana market, that would be over $200,000, right? So
Yeah.
I could perhaps claim I made $200,000 on the airdrop, but of course there is no value because you cannot sell these tokens.
Right.
But it introduced a certain gamification to the chain, to the unicorn chain, because if there is no money involved into this, you can just trade emojis. No one really paid for those tokens because they never freely trade. So you cannot say, I saw many Cosmos people especially, they were saying, oh, it's a rug, right? But it's like really the weird statement. You call something a rug when it's not even like sellable. Like so I'm not sure what they essentially mean. That was like a crypto
I know
proof
what they mean. They expect to just get free money for hanging around, and that's
yeah,
been
I think these people, which is like very they were very upset that they couldn't connect it to IBC, and
Yep,
they couldn't become a validator. That's the
that's
biggest
exactly right.
upset.
Yeah.
And as it's not allowed, they are truly upset, and they're like, how is it possible you cannot sell the tokens? How is it possible I cannot be a validator? And how is it possible I cannot IBC that to osmosis? It's a rug, right?
Right, but I feel like
So
this exposes the parasite mentality that is most of Cosmos, and I think it's to blame for most of the token price action that we see. But let me ask you this for people in the chat. I kind of have an idea, but you're a validator, right? So when a new chain launches, whether it was like, Territory, Evmos, and they have an airdrop that you could sell right away. Why is it of interest to a validator? They get special treatment, special airdrop privileges, right? As long as they make the active set. And the I heard of validators that made $30,000 on Territory just for spinning up a validator, being part of the active set, and dumping the airdrop. The entire market cap of the chain was not significant, but one validator cashing out $30,000 right away. That's why validators want to
well,
work
it,
across all these chains.
it's interesting, and like Cosmos people, especially validators, they are very happy to call Solana coins shit coins or a rug, right? And I hope it makes sense. There is some really shitcoiners on Solana,
Mm-hmm.
and the shitcoiners grind all day on the Twitter, yeah,
Yep. They work
to
for their
make the
bags.
coin go up, to shill
Mhm.
it essentially with the hope they can sell it up, and maybe they make 10,000, 30,000, 50,000. Some of them become millionaires, right? After a few months of spreading propaganda on the Twitter, hoping that the token go up, right?
Right. Yep.
And going to Cosmos, you are able to make $10,000s, even 6 digits of dollars by essentially doing nothing, but spinning a validator on the empty chain, right? And the same people will call us shitcoins rugs, but they will
Mhm.
say, no, I validate the real networks, right? I'm a
Yeah.
providing value, which is quite interesting. But like, you could ask the question, so who is more genuine, right? It's essentially equal. It's these two parties trying to just make their own money.
Mhm.
um but the one did more effort. Essentially, shitcoiner made more effort because the spinning validator is perhaps less effort than actually trying to spread messages and propaganda on Twitter, in the Telegram groups, in the Discord groups, wherever, to make your tokens go up. And the other thing is about the IBC. There is this idea of the IBC being this great technology, and you mentioned territory. Name more networks. You can name network Juno, maybe,
Mhm.
and many others. IBC is great technology, but how you resonate with the technology like territory, that you introduce the IBC for the token that has zero TVL, that has zero applications,
Yeah.
and it's just the token that allows you to bridge to osmosis and drain the liquidity that exists on osmosis. And I think this is one of the worst issues with the IBC, and it's very annoying because people are now with unicorn. You probably noticed, oh, unicorn, when IBC unicorn. So like, why you need IBC? It's obvious what you need it for.
Yeah.
To
Exactly.
drain liquidity of unicorn and to move the token that essentially doesn't have any value, and use liquidity existing on osmosis to essentially rag the token to zero. Because that's what territory and many other networks did.
Yeah.
IBC makes no sense. Like, there is zero reason to connect your network when you launch your network to IBC at the start.
Yeah.
Like,
I was at
I
I was at a
understand.
well, listen to this. I was at an event, like a live event in New York City. It was a bunch of DeFi founders, and it was a panel, and Sonny from Osmosis was there, and then Chad from Thorchain was there. Thorchain is, I would say a mediocre to significant TVL chain in
Yeah,
crypto, and I think they do have, although it's a little bit niche, they do have a product, right? Or
yeah,
a,
yeah.
a use case, which is um, cross chain swaps without a centralized exchange. So Sunny, right, is like, when are you going to enable IBC? And I don't remember the exact response, but he's like, we looked at it, but it's not. Are people really going to trade Bitcoin for um, a token on Cosmos via
Exactly.
Thorchain? Like it, or does Osmosis need IBC access to that liquidity to create
That's the
wrapped
point.
assets? Yeah. So I I find it interesting because when I first came into crypto, I was extremely interested in interoperability because when I first got into it, you could lose tokens if you made the wrong transactions. There was no bridging essentially. You go through a centralized exchange. Um, IBC was like, for me, was like, wow, this is awesome. I can move tokens around all these networks. And in the beginning, it was like Akash, Regen. I was using Gravity Dex or whatever it's called, Emeris, right? And I got the Osmosis airdrop. And then you have Osmosis IBC to all the new networks where, like you said, smart people could dump the tokens right away. Validators could dump their tokens right away,
Yeah.
essentially killing the networks that they work for before they
Yeah.
have a chance to launch a product. So, yeah, IBC is now competing with other bridging, which has gotten good, but essentially it's a bridge. Like IBC is bridges between nowhere, in my opinion.
Well,
There's not
that,
many.
that's the point. And I was
Yeah,
taught from the unicorn, that you need a capital formation. And Torchain, they didn't enable IBC, but they built their own capital formation. Here they have like 230 million TVL. And I don't really know much about Torchain, if it has problems with design or it goes to zero, but it doesn't really matter. They were focused on creating their own ecosystem that has the capital. right? And they have large TVL, especially in Bitcoin, right?
And they collect fees. Like they're actually generating a good amount of
Yeah,
fees.
yeah, yeah.
They were able to raise their fees and get away with it. Almost no network can raise their fees and get away with it because people are essentially taking advantage of these low fees to just claim rewards, do stupid microtransactions that mean nothing. I suspect if Solana raised their fees to, like, let's say 10 cents for a transaction, they would probably lose like 50% of their network activity right away.
I
I think
think
they
so.
could get away with it, but it would expose a lot of wash trading and nonsense transactions that
Yeah,
happen on these ultra cheap proof of stake networks. The only reason why people use them is for the fees and to cash out rewards of some sort.
yeah. If you think of IBC and like what were the successful IBC networks, IBC chains,
Yeah.
I can perhaps name only one, which
You
is
say
like,
one. I would say five, but okay.
I would say Osmosis,
Osmosis is number one. Absolutely.
and it's
Yeah.
like Atom. Does IBC contributed to Atom? Probably not, right? Like it's
No,
maybe
I don't think
some,
so.
like Atom would be maybe the same price regardless if it has IBC or not.
Isn't that interesting
Um,
though that IBC has almost no correlation with the success or failure of the Cosmos hub?
yeah,
Atom had tons of centralized exchange liquidity.
yeah, yeah.
So
So the IBC doesn't really matter.
you're off screen. You're off screen, by the way. Oh, there you go.
Oh, because I'm bending, like I'm doing that shit. Like I don't know what IBC helped with. Maybe with dumping the on-chain rewards and the help the DAOs to dump the allocation on-chain and so on. But yeah,
Yeah.
Osmosis was successful. I was affiliated with Stargaze, but it's hard to say that was successful IBC network when the network is ragged at like 99% because of the allowing the connection to the IBC essentially and ragging that liquidity, right? So you can bring it back. You have allocation of the founder. There was one founders on like Stargaze, but you can give example of also Juno Network, perhaps Tori, and so on, right? You stake
Mhm.
those rewards early on. You take the staking rewards and you deposit the pool on Osmosis, and then you suddenly generate the Osmosis, and in this case Osmosis and Stargaze rewards, and you dump both of them. You essentially rag in both chains at the same time,
Yeah.
and
But then you're cashing out through Atom, which is like
cashing
you're
out through
buying
Atom.
Atom and then selling Atom.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't think it's a net neutral effect unless
yeah,
there's
yeah.
massive price changes in between whales moving money. Um, I would consider Stargaze successful, not from a token standpoint, but from a standpoint of this is a platform. And I look at NFT creators as small businesses. It's a platform that allows small businesses to either, there could be a solo artist or it could be like, something like Cryptonium Maker where you're making these big generative art collections for a specific purpose. I look at Stargaze as as successful in that regard. From a token standpoint, um, every token had its small window of success and then ultimately has sold off 95%.
So the
Uh,
the the Stargaze holding out quite nice, right? And I think the main issue with Stargaze maybe being overstaffed, maybe focusing too much on the tech side, but it did
mm,
give like really nice experience to the platform, right?
I
So
think so.
it's really nice platform. It's like very fast, and this is the reason why Cryptonium Maker exists there. And if I would speak of Cryptonium Maker, I clearly would say that's the best collection on Stargaze. There is nothing coming in even close. Of course, some people would argue about the monetary value, but I could ask you, Joe, right?
Yeah.
Would you be brave enough to put yourself as sloth PFP, for example? Would you
No.
be proud of this? Would you feel like a man? Would you feel masculine enough? Would you feel like a father that provides to your children if you would put a sloth PFP on the social platform known as the X right now?
No, I did what I had to do with the sloths. I sensed something with sloths, and I moved in at the right time. I was able to mint 2 for $10. I sold one for 300. I sold another one for 4,000. Goodbye. I'm done with that collection. I did what I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to do.
yeah.
So
It's.
I
I
don't
mean,
think someone knew something about that collection or was publicly trying to create FOMO, and they did a good job of it by accumulating 100 sloths on the secondary market. But no, it would not be my PFP. I'm not going to use NFTs as my PFP in general. But I
I
see what you're
love
saying.
I love PFPs, but if you look at the sloths, if you can share that, right? Like I
Yeah,
mean, uh,
let's.
which type of man, right? If you are a man, I mean, if you are a woman, maybe, but because women are not very serious.
I got
But
yours.
if
I got your screen up there now.
yeah,
So
so if you are a
wait,
man,
wait,
like
wait, wait.
what's going on here, right? I mean, what it means.
Let me get the.
What is that, right? What is that?
Let me
Like
get the.
explain that to me. Explain this, as the creator, as the end user, what it means. And I understand they were very successful with the prize, but then, for example, when I open this Cryptonium maker,
There we go.
it does clearly presents to you a power, speed, masculinity,
Mhm.
precision,
Let me
victory.
ask a question. Let me ask a question though,
Yeah,
because I've seen this on other networks as well. And you're a creator. I'm just a collector,
yeah.
trader, right? Go to the floor. I mean, that's a
Look
nice one
at
right
that.
there.
Look
I
at
like that.
this. The
Yeah.
leaps. That's a kissers.
Go
Yeah.
go to the floor. Show me the floor of Kryptonian Maker. You choose your traits, and one of the traits that I've noticed with these generative art collections is usually like the skin color.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think the floor on all these collections where it's like a human PFP that the darker skin colors are often the cheapest on the secondary market? What do you attribute that to as a creator? Do you think platforms are are not promoting diversity of
I
NFT
think
skin color
I think
enough?
there's two reasons, right?
Yeah, I want to know.
First of all, black people has less money. That could be one reason.
But
And they might be not crypto users. So, like, what's the US population? I don't know how many black people is there. 20%.
no,
So that
it's not that
proportion
much.
is already like a different, right? Majority is white. And when it comes to the income and perhaps to the crypto users, I don't know, maybe I don't know the statistics, but maybe the 90% of crypto users in America are white. So obviously maybe not everyone want to be black skinned because they want to be affiliated to their own skin color, which I think it's actually silly, because I know a lot of white people who are turbotan Cryptonium makers, right? And I think it makes it more fun. So I do think maybe there's less people to being black skinned, or maybe people are just racist and they think
You're talking about
uh,
NFT traders or Web3
maybe they
community in
do
general?
think that the darker skin NFTs are less appealing, right? And some people would say maybe
Oof,
that's racist.
oof.
Like,
I
I'm
hope.
not here to judge. I gave the choice, right? I gave the whole variety of Cryptoniums, but y- we can pretend it doesn't exist. But wherever you go to any NFT, the darker skin NFT trades on the floor, right?
Yeah,
Why is that?
I
Either there's
noticed
less
that.
black people, or either the people assume those are less appealing. I think perhaps there's like less black people overall. Maybe that's why. Um,
Yeah, I mean
um
the number one collection on Cardano is it's
this chain is not serious, right? You cannot be serious.
well well early on it was like a top NFT chain because they didn't have DeFi. They just had NFTs. So they were doing
Yeah.
like $1 million a day in secondary volume before they had smart contracts. Um Man, oh here's an explanation from our audience here. It says black people are this is a quote from our audience member. black people are less likely to be gay, so they're not fans of NFTs. Is that in the realm of possibilities? I don't know.
I'm not sure, to be honest, if they are less likely to be gay. I think that's a propaganda. This
I
is
feel like this is two assumptions mushed together to sound like
I mean, this is like, you know, they were saying like this, you know, it's the gangsta things, you know, they want to say we are not gay, you know, but how you explain the higher HIV rates among black people?
is that true? I don't think that's true. That's definitely not true. Well, it might be. I'm not Googling that.
And
but
and we know on the gay people get HIV, right? Like
well, I could tell you
rate.
from a science standpoint, and this is me. I have
Dude, the rate of
I have
new,
my credentials here.
dude,
It is way
the,
easier
the
to
rate of
spread.
new HIV diagnosis per 100,000 people among black adults, adolescents, was about 8 times that of white people and twice that of Latinos. Twice that of Latinos. I'm telling you.
Are Brazilians considered Latinos? Because I know in Brazil
Perhaps.
it's very
But
high.
according to this, the black people are the gayest.
All right.
I'm not sure if they're more gayer than Arabs, to be honest. Because I have this friend, he's gay, right? So he's been flying through like Qatar, and you know those places like Qatar and so on, they're like super conservative. And he
Repressed,
used
yeah.
Grinder, and he said once he lands for 2 hours on the airport in Qatar, it just goes crazy. You know, it's just the Arab penises in his DMs, and they're like essentially illegal to be gay there. There's
Must be
zero
nice.
gays officially, but there's many penises in the Grinder. When he
Grinder
talks.
is like Tinder. It's like Tinder for guys.
More aggressive perhaps, because
It's
you know
more aggressive.
the gay people are not really as romantic people. They just send penises to each other. That's the way of dating for the gay people. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty efficient, I think. I think that
Straightforward, right?
if
It
that's
is
what it's
it
all
is.
about. I mean, it would be like the equivalent of me going on like what's like the Harmony Match.com, whatever, and I just send a picture of my W2 as that's my PFP W2. It's probably
Yeah.
looked at as equivalent, or like a picture of like my car.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, this is my my Ford Mustang GT that I drive, or this is my my Honda minivan that I drive, right? So
And it's understandable. I mean, it is what it is, right?
this is here we go. This is what I like about the chat is like right now 300 people are watching this, but they're almost all
really?
on Twitter. They're almost all on Twitter watching it. One person's watching on Twitch, and then the rest are watching on YouTube. They're the YouTube viewers are the knowledgeable ones that could actually predict the future. It says this is about to be the last Don and Joe podcast for a year.
But do you know what's funny?
I only got one more thing on my agenda, and then we could just roll with this.
Do you
But,
know?
yeah,
Do you know?
Go ahead. By all
You
means.
know the base blockchain. You know.
Yeah, I like base.
And do you know Jesse Pollack, the main builder, the
Yes.
dev number one of the base? I think he's CEO. And I, you know, I think it's on the subject of racism, right? Because I saw he retweeted today, and he retweeted the picture of the base Africa, right? So plenty African people.
Yeah.
And of course he's white guy, and he's like bases for everyone.
That's every founder's wet dream.
But that's very funny because
yeah,
I always look at this and I see like, dude, this is so fucking racist.
I whenever a founder to me is saying something like, we're gonna bank this country, or we're gonna bank this entire continent, because that's like a new form of colonialism.
Look, it only happens in like some like on the other spectrum of the minority, right? So it usually is like African village. It's not like, it's never a fucking Moldovan town. It's never like some European countryside. it needs to be completely different, right? It needs to be African, and it's like it's for everyone, even for the people with different skin color than me.
Yeah. What I
You
what I
know?
find funny is like in a lot of African countries, they already are used to transacting on their phones and transacting in multiple currencies like it's nothing. They could do the exchange rates in their head. But like to your point, you have like Westerners who think that their greatest purpose in life is to now quote unquote colonize their
Yeah,
economy, not the people, the economy, put it on a public blockchain where now it could be surveilled
which
and
is
regulated, and getting these people on the grid who are probably living nicely off the grid, not nicely in some regards, and then that to me that's like a badge of honor to say, look, we gave these people now the freedom to transact on our
yeah,
surveilled public network.
which is essentially like reverse racism. You know what I
Yes,
mean? It's like
yeah,
it's the same. People would be like, who is called anti-Semite, right? The people who hate Jews, right? But they're like, there's other group of people that, for example, believes that Jews has a special powers, and they admire Jews, and essentially that's also anti-Semitism, right? As long as you, so it's like, oh, our blockchain is for everyone, even for the people from Africa. It's like it's horrendous racism, and I feel like only people from like America wouldn't get that. It's like it's unbelievably white, and I'm white, of course, but I find this quite hilarious. How you say hilarious? Yeah, I found it line.
we got another 5-star review here. I appreciate you watching. You could tell all your friends on Thanksgiving
I
when you
do
guys.
think you need to lower your IQ if you want to be successful. So if you
I agree.
remember the movie Forrest Gump, if you want to be successful in finance, you actually need to lower your IQ, and you cannot really think too much. If you remember Forrest Gump, measured for, if he would be real human, he would be probably one of the greatest traders of all times.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And as we know, he was retarded. He had IQ below 80,
Right,
I think.
but here's the thing: he was a war hero,
Yeah.
a supreme athlete, father to genius, and was an absolute tycoon
Hmm.
in
And
the
he was
seafood
also
farming
retarded,
industry.
right? He was
That,
he was
yeah, so I've seen statistics about like what makes you successful in business, what makes you successful, whatever. Intelligence is not number one.
Yeah,
Um, um, Consistency and discipline is what determines your
yeah.
ultimate success in life. If you show up every day and you get after it, like he did, the guy was, I mean, could be a
And this
hurricane.
is why
He
I
was out
think
there
this
catching shrimp.
and this is why Cryptonium is just poised for success. Because regardless what happened, the Cosmos blockchains disappear, but Cryptoniums goes on.
Yes, I've
Cryptonium's
noticed that.
forever, right? It's people would think maybe something doesn't do well, but you don't understand because your NFT gonna collapse next month, but Cryptonium's gonna be here. Cryptonium is forever.
I
And
remember at the depths of the bear market, I remember you cranking out sometimes 2 videos a day, and I was like, "How does he do it?" And then I go to YouTube channel when you're not even really, your building has been more brick and mortar than content. You're still growing your channel, and to me, that is what success is, when you could turn your back to another endeavor and still grow the one behind you, is as you've done, um, and simply by being honest and keeping your finger on the pulse of the culture. I think that's been your recipe. I don't know if you would say there's more to it than
yeah,
that.
I think you need to have like many people come buy crypto, and like let's say there are people come Cosmos token, and they think this is they think, right? They buy it and they think it's gonna make me rich, but they cannot adapt. They don't have the cockroach mindset, which is, as you know, the cockroach is like it's hard to destroy them, right? They exist for like 300 million years, and you just need to adapt into new things all the time. It's like you need to believe in one thing, but if that thing doesn't believe, you just switch to the other thing and keeps going.
Yeah,
And
I think I need to get on a more regimented path, lower the IQ a little bit,
that's
and
that's that's the main thing. You need to
yeah,
lower the IQ. It's actually real. Like, what is the most successful project of 2020 2021 meta, right? No one would probably guessed it. Like, if I would ask you, what was that?
you're talking about a Web3.
Web3.
Web3 2021, 2022. Man, I remember monkey pictures and metaverse is and and APRs on Uniswap.
So, do you remember Hex?
Yeah. I wasn't involved, but I definitely remember it. Yeah, that
I
was
wasn't involved. That's what I'm saying, dude.
yeah.
Um, Hex. It did like
Hex
thousands
predated.
of Hex.
Yeah,
It went
it predated.
300. It went to $300 million market cap. There was
Mm,
no other as successful Web3 project as Hex. And who was the Hex community, right?
oh God. Yeah.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
IQ well below average. That's
Yeah.
what you want. If you
These
if
are
you
people
have
like, yeah. I would say this now that you're putting like these are things I already knew, but you're lining them up for me so that I could now. This is actionable information here. If the founder of a token should probably be working at, let's say, a gas station, those are the projects that you should follow. If the community um, probably couldn't even get a job at a gas station, maybe that's the coattails that you want to ride into 9 figures of success. I think that, yeah, I think now I'm starting to see because these are all facts that everyone knows, but you have to put them together, I think.
yeah.
And between Hex, Time Wonderland, and I guess Anchor Protocol, right? Are there any is there any lower form of intelligence in just Cosmos? There's two low forms of intelligence in Cosmos. Number
Well,
one is Terra community, the ex Terra community who still wishes Anchor Protocol was live on the Terra mainnet. To me, that's like the lowest, and a lot of
yeah,
them
that's
probably made
probably
a
like
lot of money,
IQ maybe 90, right? Average.
right? But then there's an IQ of 88 in
Who's
Cosmos.
that?
Those are people that are holding Osmosis LP tokens right now, and
I actually,
why would you supply liquidity?
I think I don't know. I think person with below 90 IQ would actually understand there is something not right.
I think you need to go lower to make money. I
Because
think you need
I,
to go.
I don't know. Like, I think the spot, if you go at like complete average IQ, that's the complete demise of you.
Okay, so average IQ would be staking the token.
I think so, because
Yeah,
the hexagons. What was the average? 82.
man, it was bad. I mean,
Probably 82,
the
right?
founder might be the founder is in the 80s probably.
Florida man, it goes up. And the thing was, you log the tokens, it goes up. That's what you want, and it really then goes up, right?
Man, but the thing is, I don't think that you can't run that twice though. There has to be a
No,
different
you run it
recipe.
twice and you rebalance. So like it's the new meta. So what's the new meta? I would say unicorn.
Let's
Like,
okay. It might be,
do you
but
do
then
you have wife Joe, right?
yeah,
And what your wife would you can tell her, look, there is this two tokens. One is the future of finance, proof of stake technology built using a Tendermint consensus algorithm using Cosmos SDK. It's the largest decentralized DEX in Cosmos, and the token is called Osmo. You can stake it to secure the network
yes.
and receive the rewards for staking it, right? You offer this one to your wife, or you offer her ooh
Yeah.
and you say it's a token that you can send to others, or you can buy emojis with it, what your wife would choose?
Yeah, no, she would say, "Oh, Winamp, I remember this," and she would go right
Exactly.
for yeah. And most people probably here's the thing: the one thing holding back Unicorn is that the typical Web3 shitcoiner is not going to understand the irony and the greatness of Winamp. So
um,
you're cutting out a lot of the IQ that you would probably need to send this to a level of
this
a
was
hex.
I was actually talking because Jacob Gadikan, the crazy
He
Cosmos
was
guy.
here. Yeah, yeah.
He's in Hong Kong. I met him today. I was
Oh,
drinking with him.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I was talking to him, and he told me the unicorn is his demographic, right?
Yes, I agree. It's mine. It's my demographic.
Because he's old, and that's a Winamp. I will address that.
He's about the same age as me, so I'm like mid
Yeah,
40s.
but Winamp is also for me in the 90s, the first era of the internet. When we get it, we were using
Yeah.
Winamp.
But don't forget my generation didn't have computers in our house. If we did, there was almost nothing you can do with it. It was
Right.
when you went to college and you had high speed connection where you could listen to music and, you know, that's it. That's all you could do. You could download music and then what did you do with it? You made a playlist on Winamp and it was I mean I would still use it if it was on my computer.
And but also I see on Twitter there's a lot of young people. There's a lot of young girls, like probably around 20, that interact with Unicorn. So there's this weird mix of like 40-year-old people and 20-year-old people on the Twitter with Unicorn. And I think this is quite smart mix of the demographics, because like large part of demographics now is actually 40 years old. So maybe that's the way.
I mean,
A large
everything I see on TV is I don't watch TV, but like ads on YouTube and ads on my apps are targeting my
oh,
demographic because
yeah, yeah,
they assume that we have money, right? So anything is always like a retro. It's like a
yeah,
retro
yeah.
feel, like it'll be a commercial, but there'll be like an '80s song in the background, right?
So it
So
would make you think: is Unicorn, is it CIA project targeting the best demographics with money? I do think it's a genius. I'm impressed how within like 9 months, when it dropped, many people thought it's me. You remember? But it was only Cosmos, and they essentially were able to tap into like huge amount of Ethereum and Solana users, and you can see it now on the Twitter. It's mainly these communities. So they did a great job, and I think if you have good monetary policies, if you have like the monetary stimulus, the unicorn will be the biggest meta. The hex is the Luna, is everything, is the new Bitcoin of this season. That would be my belief, right? But of course I'm biased because I come from the place of having 6 digits net worth in unicorn, right? So of course I wish that, I want that. If I would have zero, I probably wouldn't care, but I deeply care, because the main reason why I'm in crypto, that's needs to be set clear: I want to make money. It might come as a shock to many, because I know many people in crypto, they don't want to make money. They do it because they are interested about new technology, right? About pushing the humanity forward, for getting closer together. For many people,
I don't
just
even think that's the number one. Like if it was a pie chart, I think that would be about 15%. Making money would be about 55%. And that remaining sector is just people who have no friends that want to associate with a group with a
it's
symbol
many people
that
in Cosmos. In Cosmos, that's around 95% of people who have no friends. Around 0.5% of people who want to make money, right? And 4.5% is devs who receive the token allocations, right?
so they get paid to be here. They get paid to be in Cosmos.
yeah, they essentially monetize on the people who have no friends, right?
Understood. In
Because the
exchange
people who have
for
no
this,
friends, they reach you right on forum and they get responses. It's the first time anyone talks to them, when and they get response of someone important, maybe Sunny Agrawal, you know.
and these are the people who, when they're in a Twitter space in the audience, and the host says, "Guys, let me see those emojis. Put a thumbs up if you like
And
this
they're just
today," and they
grinding.
just like pop, 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 and they just can't
Yeah.
like they even and if the Twitter space is on the topic of banking the unbanked in Africa, they are the ones that go out of their way. They change the skin tone of the thumb so that it matches the subjects of the space. I think that's probably 30 to 40% of Web3. I think that explains a lot of NFT collections, which should not have been successful, but they are. Like the power of loneliness. That it's irony because it's loneliness that connects them, but then they're not lonely anymore. And when they realize they're no longer lonely, that collection fades, and they're like, "Well, this isn't fun because I'm uncomfortable belonging to something, even
Yeah.
though I want it." It's
GM everyone, GM holders, and they just wake up right after the sleep, and they have a purpose, someone to respond to them, right?
a
It's a big
purpose.
market share, to be honest.
But it's uncomfortable and disappointing at the same time because they have to kill their old self to now be this new member of something, and
Hmm.
it's a different kind of loneliness now. It's not a loneliness, it's a
Would
because
you be able to name one person that was lonely like
I
that?
was just about to ask you to name 3. Um
Yeah,
I
go.
do know them, but I do know them. And there's 2 specifically that I know, but they're anonymous, which which is which is another trademark that they troll me relentlessly on Twitter, and I'm
Oh,
surprised none
who
of them
is
are
that?
here
Who
now.
trolls you?
Man, what's the one Twitter handle that's really good at trolling me, and I can't even tell if they hate me or not. I don't block them because I'm curious if they actually think that they're funny or they enjoy my content and they want to be like the reply guy. It's man, what is it? It's like a Gary Gensler parody account on Twitter. And then there's the people who attack my physical appearance. Like it's the
I think no one really attacks me. I feel like it's crazy, but I really feel loved, which I feel almost bad, because like
yeah.
I'm almost middle age, right? Yeah, and
You're not almost middle. What's middle age in Hong Kong? Like 50? You're in Hong
yeah, I'm
Kong, so
like almost 34,
your
right?
life expectancy is like triple digits. Where I'm in the United States, my life expectancy is like if I get to see my kid blow out the candles on her 10th birthday, that's a long life. I almost have the same life as expectancy as like an early settler in the United States because of all the like the food dyes and seed oils
But
and
like I really feel like there are really nice people on Twitter. I don't have just
I
crazy.
agree. I think Twitter is almost too nice. Like
Mm,
only recently have I started seeing hate, and that has to do with the I think the election coming up because like
I
the
mean,
United States, they basically succeeded the last 4 elections. No, I shouldn't say 4. It's the last 5 elections. The United States has put up candidates that create so much chaos even before they get elected. It's almost a relief when the election is over, no matter who wins, right? And that's when I see the hate come out on Twitter. I guess this is my first election cycle being on Twitter because I wasn't on Twitter in 2020. I don't think I was. No, I definitely wasn't.
it's sometimes difficult even for the person like me, like non-American, right? Who you think
Mm.
I would vote for if I was American?
Um, I think that you would vote for Trump, but I think that this is a different. I think you probably in 2016 and 2020. I think you would vote for Trump, but I think by now I don't think you would vote at all. I think that that's what I would put you.
I don't know. Maybe I would vote for Trump because I think he's more fun overall, right? And
Oh yeah.
um but the thing weird with Americans, they're like convinced, one side is convinced that he's fraud and racist,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And uh, so that's the Democrats are convinced that Donald Trump is rapist, racist, and so on, which quite likely is not the truth, right? And the Republican side is absolutely convinced that when Democrats wins, they like I don't know, the tax is gonna be 90% and America
Mhm.
collapses, which I don't think it's gonna happen, right? I think it's gonna be quite fine. And if they like the Democrats win and they introduce the certain taxes, which is like quite crazy policies that I wouldn't understand, right? Like how you tax non-realized capital gains. I don't know how you tax that stuff,
Right.
right? Maybe they have some secret plan, new physical models they established, how to liquidate trillions of dollars of American capital. Someone could explain that to me. I'd love that. But if that happens and something bad happens, like, in the next election they're gonna switch and lower the taxes. That's like beauty about
Yeah.
America. I heard America in the past had crazy taxes. Before Rogan, there was like 70% was top bracket of income.
Yeah, but I also heard that almost no one actually paid those taxes. What you were allowed to do, like let's say I was a business owner and I was in the highest tax bracket, I was able to hire all my family members and use them as tax write-offs, and I wasn't paying those taxes.
Oh, that was lovely then.
What happens in reality is the percentage that people actually pay on their taxes is a lot less than what the tax brackets say. So like I pay 20, I'm in the tax bracket where, well, first of all, different levels of income, you pay different taxes. So like the first 40,000, I pay about 17% taxes. The next 40,000, I pay about 25% taxes. And anything over that, I pay about 30% taxes, right? Something like
Mhm.
that. But nobody pays taxes on their gross. And every single person who files for taxes, you get a tax write-off because there's deductions off the taxes. So it's so complicated that you can't even have a conversation about taxes. The other thing is income tax is not the only tax that you pay. You pay property tax either directly or
Mhm.
indirectly. You pay for Medicare, you pay a payroll tax whether you know it or not. So in America there are so many different taxes. To focus on one is dishonest at best.
Yeah,
And
America always had quite a high taxes. It has high taxes,
I've
right?
I've
And yet it's
I
very
have
horrible.
friends in Canada, and one time we were having like a Zoom chat because we hadn't seen each other in like a couple years,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky you don't pay taxes." I said, "I guarantee you, I pay higher taxes than you." No, you're an idiot. Okay, I'm an idiot. I'll read my pay stub, and they were like, "Oh, it's like the same." I said, "Not only is it the same," I said, "I pay property tax, even though
Yeah.
I rent where I live. I own property. I pay that tax, and I pay property tax through my rent." I Americans definitely pay higher taxes than Canada. Definitely. It's
Yeah.
it's it's absolute on average. If I make 100,000
But
in New York or 100,000 in Toronto, I promise you the New Yorker
it's
has
it's it's
a
it's
higher tax.
very interesting because you have this opinion that the low taxes means the country becomes superpower. But that clearly wasn't the case with the world, right? And it clearly wasn't the case with America.
Well, here's
America
the
had
thing. My problem, my issue with taxes is two things. Number one, um, if you lower taxes, income tax,
yeah,
more money moves faster through the economy, and you make that up in corporate tax, sales tax, and all that stuff.
yeah,
So there are people who will say, and this is economic experts, that in the history of the United States, when taxes are lowered, the percentage on income tax is lowered, that the government actually collects more dollars in tax money. So
hmm,
there's that. And that's worth looking into. The other thing is, my feeling is, how can you tax people that are productive and then give money to people who are unproductive,
yeah,
and expect your society to be good? I think that that's an idiotic mentality
yeah.
to
I,
say
I
we're
think
gonna
if you
we're gonna
if you are
punish people who contribute, because there are people who don't work at all and they get tax returns. It's like,
yeah,
what?
I mean, my goal is never pay taxes. I mean,
Well,
if you are adult
you
person, you never want to pay taxes. If
no.
if someone is adult and say like I'm happily paying taxes, there's something wrong with you. You are giving away your money. You never want to give away your money, yeah. And you see a lot of that in America. It's very funny because even with the recent news, did you see the? I mean, you surely see the controversy with Haitians, right?
With what?
The Haitian,
What
Haiti,
is it?
Haiti country.
Oh, okay.
How you pronounce it?
You're Haitians.
Haitians, right?
Utes.
And it was very funny because I tried to Google the news, what's happening right in US, and there's like Haitians are afraid about their life about the Trump recent remarks in US. I'm like,
I mean, I
there
think
is no Haitian afraid about their life in America. Did you see the shithole they come from?
I have
Like,
friends who have been there. Yes, I've never been there. I have friends who have been there. Um, and if you've seen footage of Haiti after they had
in
that hurricane
footage
that
of Haiti.
of after their earthquake,
It's
and
the
you realize,
incredible shithole. Is the asshole of the world, so to speak.
well,
They come to America. They're not afraid about anyone chasing them.
no,
They are not
th-
afraid about their life. The life they have as the homeless in America is superior life they would have as the in Haiti. So it's funny. It's funny to see the opinions. I
one
think.
thing about that, and then we have to get to something else before we end this. But um, what's interesting about immigration, and I live in New York and I work in New York City, I see this, and this is real. When different groups immigrate to the United States, and this happens in New York City, it actually creates less diversity in because those people simply move into the same neighborhoods and they
Yeah,
set up their own little, like I would call it like a walled neighborhood where they all live, and then the next neighborhood is a different ethnic group or nationality or
yeah,
language. So in New York City, people claim, oh, it's the most diverse city. It is not diverse at all, because if you go to one neighborhood, there is one people with the same origin. You go to the next neighborhood, it's a different people. That's
yeah.
not what diversity is. If you go to other places, like Florida is a good example.
I
Everyone's
looked at the
mixed.
map. It's apparently more diverse. In fact, isn't Atlanta with like the city with the highest percentage of the black millionaires in America?
Possibly, I
Yeah,
wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that. But here's the thing: it's not. It doesn't increase diversity if they all live in the same zip code,
yeah,
and then the next zip code is all Polish immigrants that
yeah,
only
yeah.
speak Polish, right? So anyway, that's this anecdote that someone could make a clip of and share it online, and then I'll get canceled for racism. But let me ask you this.
I think it's quite good to be racist, to be honest. I think that Peter Thiel, he said right. If you don't want to be replaced by the AI, you probably should be a little bit racist, a little bit sexist, and a
He
little bit
said that,
funny. He said
man.
that,
He
yeah,
for a smart guy who has had tremendous success picking winners with his investments, he has a hard time talking, huh?
yeah.
He, he's
I
he's
like his stuff.
not an
He's
eloquent speaker at all. I've heard him on like prepared talks. He's all right, but a lot of
I don't know. I find him okay, and I think he's quite right because I would listen to some of these blockchain founders like this, Jesse Pollack on the spaces yesterday, and like you realize that like so many people talks like ChatGPT, like it nothing to say. It's like everything is like generated out of the machine learning. The sentences they don't sound the real. Like it's
no.
I miss that a lot. I miss that a lot in reading the modern books. I cannot find what I
People are
found in the.
also self-censoring as well because they don't
Yeah,
want to say
yeah,
anything.
a lot.
They don't
There
want to
is
say
there
anything
is this.
controversial. Like obviously, what I just said bothered someone in the chat, about he saying, how does segregation not increase
Oh,
diversity.
but I want to say San Francisco
It's-
was lovely when I visited.
You like
It's
San
nice
Francisco?
too.
Okay, I would never go. I would have no
I
desire to
mean,
go
the
to the West
you
Coast.
know, like I would expect it's like the end of the world based on what people describe, but I was
Right.
in the valley and it's like fucking beautiful, bunch of like rich white people everywhere, and coffee was disappointing a little bit. I expected better, and then like only the city center was bunch of the drug addicts and poops on the street. But that, like, I didn't really feel danger, like in danger in San Francisco and so on. Like it was better than people describe.
Mm.
So,
So he's asking, how does segregation within neighborhoods within a city not increase diversity? Because they're segregated. They're not enriching the other cultures of New York City. They are living within their own
but
comfort
there is
zones.
no way out of this, is it? Because US is really like uncomparably richer right now than on any other place in the world.
Another 5-star review. We're doing well today. We got a bunch of 5-star reviews. We got 500 people watching.
Oh, that's a lot. But like US is so rich.
Yeah, but I
that
bet
they
you the US probably has a very high poverty rate compared to other Western nations. So
yeah. But that
it's
dream, the ability.
the United
I think
States.
it's also the ability of, I speak to many people. You know what's great thing about the US, and I think maybe that's why people go there. You buy yourself a land, let's say in Texas, right? You buy yourself
Mhm.
a land, and you drill on your own land, and you discover the oil. That's yours, right? You now are a rich man. You can sell it. That's yours. What's underground? This thing is undoable in any other place in the world. In Europe, if you do that, you cannot do that. What's underground belongs to the state. So US is the only one place in the world where you have this really deeply going property rights and the rights, I think, to become rich. That's what I would say advantage. I'm biggest US bull that there is, I think, even though I'm not American.
Well, fair. I mean, the United States is still doing okay.
Great country.
Distribution of wealth is a problem, but that's only because the United States has adopted this economic system of like bailouts and crony capitalism and basically socialist policies that they
Yeah.
whenever something goes wrong, they blame capitalism. Small businesses are taxed to hell, like 40%. These conglomerates like
The business is over.
Amazon.
No one wants to do business anymore, right? Everyone wants to just buy stocks now. And I think that's why it's bullish, like no one wants to invest money to open the restaurant anymore. It's better to
No.
buy Bitcoin, right? Like you get the money, you get the loan from the bank, you just buy Bitcoin with it.
All right.
That's what's up.
Last thing before we end. I have to end in 7 minutes.
That's
Your
okay.
your
If you need to do it, yeah.
your Twitter handle is down below. People that are watching this, there's 569 people watching this. Most of them are
Really?
on
No,
Twitter.
you lying. There's so many people. It's impossible. Never.
Most of them are on Twitter, so they're probably not watching with sound.
It's
Your
impossible.
your pinned tweet is basically a slow, painful 15-minute rant that basically comes off as very anti-female crypto influencer. And I would like to
Oh,
give you
that's the old one. There's new pin one, but yeah.
okay. So I watched that and I said, this is really gonna offend people and possibly set women back in Web3, send them back to the Stone Age. I'll give you a chance to clarify what you meant so that there's no, nothing comes out about you later. Why don't you we end on that?
I
Give you 4 minutes.
just think people should be honest with themselves, right? So,
But
if
also,
I
but you said your exact words were, "This type of person is not honest," but I am. So I think you need to clarify that before we go.
many people. So, like, I'm not gonna pretend I'm like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not a Brad Pitt. My accent is worse. My jawline is worse. My hairline is worse. But I see a lot of female influencers. They post the pictures, and it's clearly like, they have the issues. You can clearly see they maybe suffer from the alcohol consumption, and the legs have like huge amounts of cellulite, and they couldn't be even Instagram influencers. And as I said, I always pay attention to the ankles, and the ankles have high levels of the water retentions.
How do you see their ankles on Twitter though? That's what I don't get.
You can easily look at the face and know how the ankles look like.
Okay, so you're making an inference. Okay.
And a lot of this female that looks
And
5 out of
specifically
10.
female crypto Twitter female influencers, they're
Yes.
dishonest in the way they present their physical appearance. That's what this is about.
No. They present themselves maybe right, but they consider themselves in a favorable light to reality.
Oh yeah.
Because
I mean that's
as you know, crypto, we established, is 95% of lonely people, right?
see, I don't think this is a crypto issue. I think this is a millennial issue. I think the
Maybe
millennials
millennial issues. So
the
we
millennials
ended up in
downfall.
the spot
Yeah.
that you have maybe 90% men, short men, 157 centimeters tall, 44 kilograms, worse hairline than mine, a little beard here and there, and there is the woman, right? 175 centimeters tall, 87 kilograms heavy. That's close to 200 pounds for American audience. And you can see she had 3 casual sexes yesterday, and a lot of drinks. And this lonely man, probably, she says GM, and they respond GM queen. Oh, looking flawless today, right? And this woman then, she gets into the mindset, oh yeah, I'm a queen.
Yeah.
I'm a
So,
hot.
I want to before we go, let me elaborate on.
Let
Go, you
finish.
first, and then I want to
And
explain
I
what I
think
said
we
because I don't
need
want
to
to
be
upset millennials.
honest, right? I think when we see the woman like this, right, we should say, Queen, you gotta hit a gym. Queen,
Right.
there is
48-hour
celery.
water fast is all we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Cut the
A
alcohol
little
back.
break from the alcohol, right?
Keep your legs
Or
closed.
we need to encourage people to actually do better. I think we need to encourage that honesty, right? Like you Joe, you're not posting on the Twitter images that you take from the very bottom perspective, so you look like 6.4 child, right? You're not doing that. But the woman doing the equivalent of that. I see many women with very fat legs that they, for example, take pictures and they only post the top. It's
And again, you're able to infer from a selfie like the ankle water
like,
retention.
I have
thickness.
large experience in life. Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen things. I analyze people a lot, so I can actually spot based on the face. I know the size of the legs and so on. And but
All right, so this is what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to say about millennials. They read too much into how people treat them and talk to them online, and it gives them an unrealistic view of themselves.
And it's too positive view because they
way
are
too positive. Way because in
That's
the
what I'm
end, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I have a leveraged bet on the millennial generation with how I've invested, whether it be stocks, real estate, crypto. I have a huge leverage bet on the promise of the millennials, but for the most part, 10% are carrying the other 90% who are nothing but soft crybaby losers who want everybody to tie their shoes for them, but they also want to take your stuff. The 10% it has to make up for that 90%, and they have to pump my bags.
And
it's asking a lot.
Also on this other side, I speak of females, but the men, like sociopaths, man, unbelievable sociopaths. I would buy the coin, yeah, shit coin that I start to shill, and I would get message in the DM. Oh, give me some coin. I'm gonna tweet about this. We're gonna run this, right? I send the coin. 1 minute later, they sell it. And I'm like, why did you sell it? I was like, don't, because I'm better trader than you. This is the real, like, the message I would receive from people. Which is, a sick space full of sociopaths, right? The female sociopaths that think they look maybe better than they are, and the men sociopaths as well. Like the men is different, because the man is usually not focused on the looks. It's more focused on like the mental capabilities. The men usually
Right.
would
How
say
clever they could reply, right?
how clever they are.
Cleverness.
Dude, I'm such a caller, dude, I call 5 coins that did 100x. That's the men type. They always are calling. They never did bad. And I'm like, it's impossible. Like I'm like 50-50. You know what I mean? I think I'm always 50-50. I'm guessing.
Well,
Of course, I would
guys,
love unicorn to go gazillion x.
you heard it here first. We got alpha. We got this
Beta.
like call to action for finding those projects that are spearheaded by below average IQ founders and trumpeted by way below average community members. And now we know how to size up female crypto influencers and whether or not their actual crypto knowledge and their basically their ankle conditions warrant us even following them in the first place.
The ankles are
DM
the
them.
worst, actually. Really the worst. I know you want
All
to
right.
finish. It's the
I have to
I
finish.
also,
Yeah,
I
I have to
also
finish.
sorry.
But look, I think you'll be proud. There are almost 600 people watching.
Is it better than usual, or
Yeah, I was getting like less than half this when I was doing other times. I think from now on, Sunday mornings is my time. Anytime you want to join, you're welcome.
Oh, we should do it more often. I love chatting to you, Joe.
No, we haven't talked in like over a year, just a couple DMs, right?
Yeah.
And that's it.
I was
But
thinking maybe you were thinking I got angry. I just stopped
no,
streaming. I was just
I had a wild, tumultuous, volatile 2024. The only thing that's working for me is that I'm pretty happy with Bitcoin performance and my
yeah. I
investments and my.
think Bitcoin gonna send it hard. I think Bitcoin
But
gonna
I'll tell you this right now, and I'm not going to elaborate. But one of my kids almost died a couple months ago, and it was like a crazy couple
Oh,
months. So
you were telling me. Sorry to know.
yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me.
So everything's good now.
Pneumonia.
Everything's good now. Like but yeah, it was like wild. That's why I don't give a shit, because like you get wrapped up in this
Strengthening.
Web 3 world of like feelings and hopes and bullshit. But when like you actually have responsibilities, you realize it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So for people that like, my lesson would be, it's all bullshit, guys. Pick the tokens. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. If you're smart enough to manage your risk and follow the right crowds, you'll be good. There's nothing more to it than that.
That's why I like
Pick
you,
the
Joe,
tokens,
because
guys.
you are
Just pick the
real
right
for
tokens.
this, because you
And
are real.
if you have a rationale behind why you're picking the tokens, you'll probably hold on to it a little bit longer, which gives you a greater chance of catching those positive bids, and you won't sell before they take off. But if you're in the wrong tokens, you got to just deal with it. It's your fault for being stupid or being too smart. And I feel like that I've done a good job guiding the people that watch my channel into realistic modes of thinking. So hopefully you're picking the right tokens. Don sometimes picks good tokens, admits when he picks bad tokens. There's
Sometimes bad happens, yeah.
no other influencer crypto personality admits when they pick bad tokens. But if 90% of the tokens are bad, you got to start questioning it. And that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I gotta cut you short. We'll do this again. I don't care when, a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Sunday.
take
This
care,
is
Joe.
my time.
Was pleasure with you. You are like a genuine guy. You're
I'm
very
gonna hit
smart.
you up for a favor though, because this was I did this just to ask you a favor and I forgot. I want a pre-recorded, unreleased video, 5 minutes to 7 minutes long, that I can show the audience to open up NFT Nashville 2024. We will have, yeah. So I'll get to you, and I also want a one of one Cryptonium maker to use as an airdrop. But
you will. I will send me the address right now on the Twitter, and I send you crypto.
I'll give you premium speaker slot remote for a pre-recorded. Just it could be just like a self.
Yeah, the goal is to shield Cryptonium maker.
That's fine. Totally fine.
More.
Maybe you could do the whole talk on the art of shilling. But anyway, I have to log off.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to
Go on,
disappoint
Joe.
everyone.
Send me your address.